Hello guys, today in this video, we are going to help you to find out the best webcams in the market. I made this list based on my personal opinion and I tried to list them based on their quality, durability, customer review and more. If you want to see their price and find out more information about them, you can check our links in the description below. 11. Anker PowerSoNF C300. Sometimes, you need a bit more from a webcam, but don't want to break the bank. Usually, recording at 60 frames per second or in HDR requires you to spend up to almost $200, but Anker's new PowerSoNF C300 packs those features at a much more affordable $130 price point. You'll have to deal with some laggy software to access most of them, and the included detachable, adhesive camera shutters are so cheaply made that you might as well not use them at all. But with fidelity that frequently beats the Logitech C920 and lots of customizability, including multiple field of view options, this is a great choice for those who like to tinker. There's even automatic AI framing to help you keep your shots focused on you as you move about, although it's a little tricky to actually trigger it. Number 10. Opal C1 Webcam. The Opal C1 webcam is at once a very exciting indication of things to come in the future of webcams overall and also a niche product that probably won't appeal to most users. If money is no object, then yes, this camera probably takes the best photos and video on this list. At the same time, it costs $300, its software is Mac only, and said software costs $4 a month. It's an easy-to-use software suite, sure, and there are convenient features like bokeh and an AI-powered touch-up function. But we've seen similar functionality for cheaper elsewhere, and it doesn't make you sign up for yet another service. What makes the Opal C1 worth keeping an eye on is its focus on computational photography. This is a technique primarily used in smartphones, and it's why your iPhone's camera usually captures better-looking footage than the webcam attached to your $2,000 laptop. Sure, the camera sensors themselves are powerful, but the real magic is the small edits your phone does in real time to beef up an image before you even see it. Number 9. Ostem AW651. The Ostem AW651 is Ostem's most recent webcam, and it makes for a more powerful yet affordable alternative to other 1080p and above webcams from major brands like Logitech. At about $10 more than the MSRP for the Logitech C920, this camera offers both 1440p capture at 30 frames per second and 1080p capture at 60 frames per second. While the camera's sensor can produce overly sharp images and it resorts to distributing clunky freeware rather than coming up with its own software, it is a technically capable device that offers a lot of capability for its price point. This camera produced bright footage with accurate colors when we reviewed it, in part thanks to its ability to capture at 1440p. If you prefer to shoot at 1080p, you can also capture footage at 60 frames per second with this device, which will be useful for game streamers. HDR is another feature here, and in a nice touch, this camera comes with a tripod and can also rotate 360 degrees. Its tilt is a bit more limited, ranging from 180 degrees when pointing down to 30 degrees when pointing up. This camera's software is its biggest problem, since it suggests you use a freeware program called AMCAP to configure it. This is a powerful but clunky program that reminds you of the small company jank Ostem still can't quite escape from, and while you can use the Windows Camera app instead, it's not quite as powerful. Number 8. Elgato Facecam. Elgato's long been a contender in the streaming realm, with capture cards and stream decks that make it a popular brand among content creators, but the Elgato Facecam is its first webcam. With that comes a few first-time jitters that need to be worked out, but the Elgato Facecam still has unique advantages that might justify its lack of features elsewhere, assuming you're part of its target, hardcore steamer audience. At $199, the Elgato Facecam costs as much as the Razer Kiyo Pro and the Dell Ultrasharp webcam, but it doesn't have 4K or HDR. What it does have is 1080p at 60 fps recording, a fixed focus lens, and live ISO information in its software. While 1080p at 60 fps footage isn't unique to this camera, those last two features are rare even on other specialty equipment. But if you spend hours in front of a desk broadcasting to viewers every day, they might be plenty useful for you. The Elgato Facecam's fixed focus lens is optimized to depict any subjects within 3 to 5 feet of the lens with perfect clarity, which is perfect if you're just showing off your streaming space. This lets you quickly move about your space and bring new objects on screen without waiting for autofocus to catch up. Meanwhile, the live ISO feed lets you easily adjust your room's lighting. Number 7. Logitech Brio 4K. The Logitech Brio 4K has been the name in 4K webcams since it was first introduced in 2017, but that doesn't mean it gets a free pass. While its image quality is hard to argue against, Tom's Hardware senior editor Andrew Friedman still had problems with it back when he reviewed it for Laptop Mag. But let's start with the positives. The first being right there in the name, this camera captures high-quality 4K footage. That alone makes it stand out on this list, since even our premium contenders mostly top out at 1080p. In his review, Andrew praised the Brio 4K's color accuracy and field of view. But this camera can also do 1080p at 60 fps recording, letting it compete with the Razer Kiyo Pro as well. Andrew did feel that the Brio 4K fell behind even the Logitech C920 in a darkroom however, and had some gripes with the build quality. The monitor mount, for instance, didn't feel as if it attached securely, and the optional, detachable privacy cover came across as a cheap afterthought, even leaving residue on the camera. There's also the question of who needs a 4K webcam. Since most live streaming apps top out at 1080p, the audience for this camera is going to be niche. Number 6. Logitech StreamCam. The Logitech StreamCam is a premium option, aimed at giving streamers and other content creators everything they need in one package. The focus here is more on convenience than pure quality, however. The StreamCam is a special contender on our list in that it supports all resolutions from 240p to 1080p, and is able to stream or record each at any frame rate from 5 to 60. Though most will, of course, want to use the highest setting of 1080-60 frames per second, this lets those with low bandwidth customize their usage to their liking. It also comes with a built-in omnidirectional microphone, complete with a small noise filter, as well as a white indicator LED, a standard tripod mount, autofocus and exposure, USB-C connectivity, and streaming software for fine-tuning filtering and other capture details. Those who prefer vertical video can also remove the camera from its mount and physically rotate it to shoot with full HD 9:16 video. Number 5. Logitech C930E. Like its popular sibling, the Logitech C920-C920S, the Logitech C930E has excellent image quality with superior color reproduction, sharpness, and low-light performance. However, it won UPS the C920 series by providing a Carl Zeiss lens that has a 90-degree field of view. One of the very best webcams you can get at any price, the C930E also comes standard with a privacy shutter. Its dual, omnidirectional mics also provide better noise cancelling than the C920. The main advantage that the C920 and C920S typically have is price, as the C930E's MSRP is $129 as compared to $69 for the C920S. Number 4. Razer Kiyo Pro. The Razer Kiyo Pro is Razer's 2021 update to the Razer Kiyo, and it adds plenty of new features that will be very helpful for content creators and amateur filmmakers alike. These include HDR recording, the ability to capture footage at 1080p at 60 fps, a light sensor that adjusts how much light the webcam captures to make images as flattering as possible regardless of lighting, and a microphone with headset-level audio quality. All of these features come at the loss of the original Kiyo's ring light and a new $199 cost. While the light sensor impresses enough to make the loss of the ring light sting less, that new cost does limit the camera to creators who need its extra features as opposed to a more everyday audience. The Kiyo Pro's features can also be a touch difficult to access, as you'll need Razer Synapse to change settings like field of view or how warm-cool your photos are. And to access 60 frames per second recording, you'll need to set that up separately in your recording software. The price also puts the Kio Pro on par with the Logitech Brio 4K, which has the benefit of capturing footage in, well, 4K. But given that most streaming platforms don't support 4K yet, the Kio Pro's other features do help justify its cost despite its 1080p max resolution. Number 3. Dell Ultrasharp Webcam. If you have money to spare, the $199 Dell Ultrasharp Webcam is an easy frontrunner. This camera's got a load of features, including 4K at 30 fps and 1080p at 60 fps recording, plus HDR and even optional AI that helps keep you in frame. It's also got 3 different field of view options, and lots of customizability thanks to the ability to turn on manual focus and zoom sliders. But where this camera really blew us away was on image quality. Regardless of which resolution you pick, this camera's footage looks sharp and has the most flattering lighting and colors we've seen yet. There's no artifacts or weird pale or yellowish tones to be found here. There are a few issues in the build. While the camera itself feels sturdy and looks stylish, it's got a lot of small parts you'll need to swap in and out. For instance, the monitor mount and tripod mount are 2 separate pieces. You can easily change them in and out since they both fit into the same magnetic slot, but once you add in the magnetic webcam cover, that's a lot of extra stuff to keep track of. The monitor mount also lacks feet, which means it can feel unstable when setting the camera up. I don't feel like it's going to fall off my monitor, but it did take some work to get it to that point. Still, that's all worth it for this almost mirror-like image quality. This is definitely one of the more expensive cameras on this list, but given all of this camera's features. Number 2. Microsoft Modern Webcam. Costing $10 less than the Logitech C920 and generally being more available even as stock refreshes, the Microsoft Modern Webcam is also more feature-full than its older competitor and tended to produce warmer, more accurate colors in our time with it. Its monitor mount is a little on the wobbly end on some monitors, especially those that aren't flat along the back, but you can get it stable with some artful balancing. That said, the sliding physical camera shutter still gives this webcam a premium feel at first glance. It's also got an intuitive app that's designed to look like a Windows menu, although it's not that powerful. It is where you'll adjust most of this camera's special features, though, which include HDR and flicker reduction powered by its ability to capture footage at 60 frames per second. This webcam's 1080p at 60 fps capture is a big get for streamers, especially since competing, gaming-focused webcams can often reach into the hundreds of dollars. Number 1. Logitech C920 An oldie but a goodie, Logitech C920 has been the gold standard for webcams since it launched way back in 2013. Even after 7 years, it's still arguably the best webcam for video conferencing. There are other versions of the camera, notably the C920S, which comes with a privacy shutter, and the C922, which is designed for streaming. All versions of the Logitech C920 have the same excellent 78-degree field of view lens that can show not only you, but the room behind you or the people sitting next to you. The 1080p sensor picks up plenty of detail even in low light, and its color reproduction was once the best we've seen. Senior editor Andrew Friedman wrote a Logitech C920 review for Laptop Mag back in 2016 and he was impressed with both the image quality and width. He also noted that the camera's dual microphones picked up clear sound, though in a crowded office, they also picked up some background noise. But if you're in a quiet room, they should be fine for casual calls.